It's never bad.
No, and it's so apt considering today we're talking about Mando with Max Rebo. We finally talk about it because she just say, hit it, Max. So it's very apt, at least for today's show. Indeed. Hello and welcome back to the Sith and Scoundrel podcast. I'm Phil, joined as usual by Matt. Good evening, my friend. How are we?
I'm all right, dude. I'm all right. Tired, but we're good. We're doing all right. We survive. We persevere. And I can carry on Rebels now, too, which is really exciting news.
To be fair, I think I'm actually, so funny enough, I'm watching Rebels with my girlfriend, and we are now at that same point. We've just got to the last 2 episodes of season 2. Haven't watched it yet. We've literally cut off just before we got there. So at that same point. So we're watching it at the same time going through it, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, well, yeah. Destiny 2 just launched a new event, and I started playing Red Dead. So, I mean, I'll find the time. But yeah, it's going to be good. Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. And the order. I see the chart that came up online the other day of like what to watch and read before Ahsoka.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm not doing that in a month.
I mean, yeah, you have Clone Wars, you have Rebels, and you have the first 3 Thrawn books. It's quite a bit to get through. I mean, to be fair, I have just finished the second Thrawn book, Alliances. I've got Treason to go, and then I'll be completely caught up before we get to Ahsoka. So I should be fine, but it's a lot to... If you haven't read it or watched it, it's a lot to kind of get through.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I can piece together a bit. Just looking forward to it, though.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to Ahsoka. I think that's going to be very good. Interestingly, I don't know if you saw during the week, but Bob Iger attacked Marvel. Which was really interesting, as everywhere. It's mad. He was blaming Marvel for Disney currently failing at the blockbusting of the cinema, basically.
Yeah.
And the sheer amount of content that Marvel would put out on streaming services was giving bad box office returns. I think
it's saturation.
Well, Kathleen Kennedy did Indy, and that's not gone down very well.
Nope.
So she's on the docket. Yeah, it's saturation, but I really don't think there can be like Indiana Jones failed because there's too many Marvel series.
No, I don't believe that either. To be fair, I do want to see Indy though, and I've heard good things from those who have seen it.
I don't think I'm gonna rush out and see it. No. I love Indiana Jones, but I'm not hearing good things. You're hearing good things. I'm not hearing good things.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit hesitant because I don't want another Crystal Skull situation.
What is the Crystal Skull? This doesn't exist.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, there's one Starship Troopers film.
Yeah.
And this is the 4th Indiana Jones, but we don't know if it's going to count or not yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't think they can blame Marvel for that. It would be like, saying Solo didn't do well because there's too many Marvel films. And it's so bizarre to me because Bob Iger, they own Marvel.
Yeah.
And they own Star Wars, and to have them blaming their own product for their other products failing is mad. It's mad that this happened.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they start blaming that as well for Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Bob Iger left for a little while. He's come back to it and gone, what is this mess, basically?
Yeah, but, no one would dare have blamed any of the Marvel stuff 5 years ago.
No.
We're like, Marvel's making us money.
Yeah.
And now they're blaming it. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting moves, I think. Hope they don't rock the boat too much, like The Acolyte coming up and the Rey film for some reason.
Yeah, the New Jedi Order. I'm looking forward to that, but The Acolyte is what I am just completely hyped for, and I'm counting down. I'm hoping, what I've heard is that it's looking early 2024, so you're looking like January and February. If it comes out near my birthday, I will be extremely happy.
Oh, cool. That's a lot sooner than I thought it was going to be. Oh, that's very cool. Okay, that's good. Okay, I thought it was going to be late next year. Skeleton Cruise this year, isn't it?
No, Skeleton Cruise next year as well, I think.
Skeleton Cruise next year as well. And did they confirm that as live action?
Yeah, it's live action. I've seen the trailer for it at Celebration. It's got Jude Law. It's basically Stranger Things does Star Wars. It's that kind of vibe.
I am so sold. I love Jude Law.
Basically, it's Jude Law taking a bunch of kids on a absolutely mental adventure. From the trailer I saw at Celebration, I walked into it going, I don't know what this is about. I don't know if I care for it. I walked out of it going, hang on a second, this looks absolutely mental.
Why is Jude Law taking kids' play? That's weird. Oh, well, I'll watch it. Jude Law's great. Stranger Things in Space is great. Can't miss that. No. That's a win. That's a win. That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah. And the Acolyte, again, I lost my mind. You got Trinity basically doing, well, Matrix things in Star Wars. Again, I'm completely hyped for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I want news on this Lando series, dude. Billy D's not getting any younger.
In it, though.
Nah, they're missing a step if they don't do it like the Wonder Years.
Yeah. But what it should be, though, is Billy D basically sat there doing the Lando vlogs.
Yeah, 100%. Then have it like the Wonder Years. Like, dude, you got the adult version of him being like, oh, and blah blah blah, whatever. Then you have like a flashback to the young version of it. So I'd have Billy D doing his. Then there's one time I was in the system, and then it goes back and has Donald Glover acting out the adventure. That'd be sick.
I mean, Billy D is the king of cool. There's no denying that. I absolutely love that man. I was lucky enough to meet him once.
I would watch a web series of Billy D shopping for custom suits.
To be fair, it would be extremely fashionable, and I would be down for that.
Yeah, I would just watch him attend red carpet galas, like the Met Gala and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd watch that man do that. I'd watch him read, dude. You know what I mean? He's great. So
that's right, Bob Iger. Here's how we save Disney. Do this.
It was a Billy D documentary, like the Osbournes, or that Gene Simmons one that he had for a while. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Gene Simmons Family Jewels,
something like that. Yeah,
I think so. Well, actually, I'd watch Mark Hamill do a reality show like that. You know?
Oh, that would be brilliant. To be fair, he's done that though. He has. He's done not a full reality show. But he has done a show recently, which was looking at movie props and all sorts of bits and pieces. He got reunited with his saber from Return of the Jedi, which I absolutely adore that clip.
That's really sweet. Yeah, no, I think I'd watch Mark Hamill, just like a day in the life of Mark Hamill series. Right, like audio recording sessions and stuff like that. Him interacting with people. That'd be really fun. Or like a day in the life of Harrison Ford. Just telling everyone to leave him alone. That would be great, just to watch him lower people's self-esteem.
I would watch that, but there's more of a chance of Lando happening than there is of that. It's no. I don't think Harrison would, but
the press tour for Indiana Jones has been fantastic. It's been so fun to watch. Just he doesn't want to be there. No. It's so good. If you could be anywhere, right? If you could be anywhere right now, Mr. Ford, where would you be? Home. Yeah, I love him. Love him.
He's done his finale tour. He's done Star Wars. He's done Indy. There's no real other characters he needs to get back to. He's done now. He can retire and be happy.
Speaking of people interacting with fans, did you see the news that Ozzy's going to be doing the convention circuit?
I had not.
Yeah, so because he can't tour and stuff with them. I know this isn't about Star Wars. It's just now attendance linked to people signing things or interacting with fans. Yeah. Jack Osbourne has been doing a lot of the convention circuit, like signings and things. Yeah. And it was released during the week where Ozzy can't tour or whatnot. He's going to be joining Jack on convention signings.
Okay.
So you may be able to go LFCC or something and pay to meet Ozzy.
I would 100% do that.
Yeah,
like 100% I would do that for many, many reasons.
Yeah. Just go get something signed by Ozzy, get a photo with and stuff. It's close you're going to get. I never did it with Stan Lee. Like years ago, we did London Comic Con.
I regret not doing that. I must admit.
And at the time, I was like, oh, 95 quid. Now he's dead. Damn it.
I mean, I've got the single of Paranoid from 1969 or whatever it is. Like I've got that, so that's probably what I get signed, if anything. I've got a fair few things from Sabbath over the years, but that probably would be it.
Do you know what? I saw Billy Gibbons last week, You
did indeed.
And it was amazing. But there was this woman in the crowd, like, managed to get passed up this original 80s press and ZZ Top's Eliminator. And he was clearly on stage, like, really taken aback by it. And he signed it on stage, and this woman was, like, crying. She was at the front crying. This LP got signed, and he tried to auction it off. Like, the look of panic on his woman's face as he started to take bench from the audience. He was just like, I need to get paid. That's good. But yeah, Aussie convention circuit. They could probably hit him and Tamara Morrison at the same event.
I mean, Tamara Morrison is a great segue into tonight's show.
Wasn't that tidy?
But the funny thing is, though, obviously, then he had the picture with him with Danny Trejo's actual picture in the background, who are both in what we're going to talk about, because it's obviously where he meets the gets his pet Rancor.
Wasn't that a good? I thought that was smooth. That was Billy D levels of smooth.
It was. I'll give you that one, my friend.
I like that. That's the wittiest I'm going to be today.
It's all right. It's been a long day for us both. It's fine.
So we're 11 minutes in and I'm peaked.
I'm not gonna say anything about that, my friend.
Yeah, and I'm spent.
It's good night from him. It's good night from me. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. The smoothest transition of conversation topic you'll ever see. Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. So last time out, we talked about the Tusken arcs. We talked about what happened after he got out of the Sarlacc pit. Obviously, talked about the very jarring flashbacks to kind of here versus now kind of thing. So these couple episodes, we were talking about it earlier, but what we kind of want to look at, we're getting up to the Mando episode, and I think we're probably going to skip the Mando episode because it does it count? Does it not count? I don't know.
It does count because it's in the series and it's when it gets good.
That is the problem, though.
It counts because it's the turning point.
Yeah.
I think we should discuss that because obviously Ahsoka and Luke and like the choice and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I guess talk about Luke for an hour. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should talk about it and how the CGI looked. But anyway, we'll go on to it.
Yeah.
But
we will.
I think we should because it's part of the series, but it's like a really important part of the series because of when it became really enjoyable.
To be fair, though, so interestingly enough for me, rewatching the series, I have to say, so episode 5, which is the episode before the Mando episode, is probably my favorite so far. Going back and looking at it, because it's the one that feels most like Boba Fett. Because the flashbacks are done with, and you have Boba go on a rampage. Go, fine, now I've got everything sorted. I've got a few scores to settle. Goes and takes out the biker gang. Goes and takes out the Sarlacc. Goes and demands respect from everyone. And he just is. It's Boba Fett how you want him to be. This is the episode that I felt like this is Boba's back. Whereas the first kind of 4, so the one before that, obviously we'll get into in a minute with all the Vespers and all the rest of it, which is really, really not where the show peaked at all. But this felt more where Boba is back than anything.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I don't like the whole thing of him being a daimyo. I don't know why. It doesn't sit well with me. I get that he's got scores to settle and things like that.
Yeah, that's like, Boba Fett is settling scores, not
like,
them
how
going,
convenient.
Cool,
they're all in the same location.
Because it's Star Wars, therefore it's Tatooine.
Yeah, but you know what? It's becoming such a gripe of mine for how much happens on Tatooine now.
It's why I'm excited for things like the Acolyte, which aren't on Tatooine. Like you've got even Kenobi. You still have bits on Coruscant and on other planets as well, Alderaan and things. They went away from Tatooine to do it. This is very
annoyingly. If Kenobi wasn't on Tatooine, I would have been annoyed about it.
Yeah, that's the kind of flip side. He kind of has to be on Tatooine.
It's so significant to that, but
whereas Boba's like, left for dead in the sands of Tatooine. Like it's kind of. But then he could go elsewhere.
I get it. He perished on Tatooine because everything happened on Tatooine.
Yep.
I was like filming in Tunisia really cheap or something, and that's what he did.
I mean, to be fair, you have Han's line to Luke in Return of the Jedi of, so I was born here. You're going to die here. Convenient.
It is. And I mean, farthest point from the center of the galaxy, and it's like, I mean, it would have been really cool if Boba like pulled himself out of the Sarlacc, got his stuff together, and went back to Camino. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Become daimyo of the facility that mass-produced all your brothers.
Well, apart from the fact it no longer exists and was bombed to oblivion.
When? You
have seen Bad Batch?
No, I haven't yet.
Cool, spoiler alert for Bad Batch then.
I've not watched it yet. God damn. Okay, never mind. You can't go back there. Could have gone back to Bespin. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
They've probably been leaderless for a while.
I mean, now Hutter, Nar Shaddaa. There's plenty of grim, dark places in Star Wars to go and do things.
Dathomir, man. That would have been cool.
As we've said previously, we have an entire planet of goth witches, and yet we're up on a just desert rock.
It's my favorite meme about Star Wars. It's like, hey, here's this cool planet of like goth undead, these goth necromantic witches and their magic and their zombies, but we're going to go back to the desert planet because we have a lot going on.
Yep.
That seems to stray away from it. Like, not particularly interesting setting either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting my Star Wars D&D 5e campaign next week. And I have very, very much stayed away from Tatooine. I've written nothing for Tatooine. I will write nothing for Tatooine. We are not going to Tatooine because I'm sick of it. And
Funnily enough, I'm going to be running the Star Wars D6 system in a couple of months for my group. And it's free online, and it's 524 pages, and it's just D6 system, and it's amazing. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
But there's rules for all the playable races in it, like all of the playable races. But because it's Legends, not new canon, you can play as those things that are like invading the galaxy that Palpatine's trying to escape from.
Yeah.
And you can like be a Celestian, and there's rules to be like a clone if you want to be a clone. Because they did the original trilogy, and they did the prequel trilogy, and then they added in the Legends stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good. You can just find it for free online as a PDF. It's like 524 pages long, but
fair. Can have to look at that. I mean, it also means you get to be Dash Render, and Dash is cool.
Yeah, I think Dash is in there. They've done the rules for Vader if you want to drop them in the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, they made Dash canon now though, which is awesome.
Have they?
Yeah, they have. They haven't given him the whole story yet. They've name dropped him. They have put him in canon, but they haven't done anything with him yet. Doesn't mean they won't. I mean, give me Dash, give me the YT-2400, give me the Outrider. I want to see that because, like, the Shadows of the Empire was one of my favorite games in the N64. It was an absolute cracker.
It was very good, wasn't it?
I downloaded it on Steam a little while ago, and I've been meaning to replay through it because it's just an absolute blast of a game. It was so much fun. It allowed you to play through the original trilogy without playing as any of the characters you knew. It gave you a different take, which was kind of fun.
The one I think I had it on PC because it had like, well, I guess the original Death Troopers in it without looking any different. They're just Stormtroopers painted black and stuff. Do you remember? I had a massive weird flashback. Oh my god, we're so off topic. So sidetracked. I had this massive flashback the other day to a Star Wars beat 'em up on the PS1. I can't remember what it was called for the life of me, but it was like Tekken, but Star Wars. It could be like Luke versus Han and stuff.
I remember that game. I can't remember the title though.
Side by side beat 'em up.
Yeah.
That was ace. That was a lot of fun. That was really good.
That was also, to be fair, wasn't it also a Boba Fett game as well?
There was a Django game.
There was, yeah.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter. And that was very good. I enjoyed it. I think all of them, like Star Wars freaking Battle Arena is on PlayStation Store, which is the Demolition Derby Star Wars vehicles game.
That was so much fun. It was
that's on there. And Star Wars Bounty Hunter is on there, but I just feel like if I run Star Wars Bounty Hunter through a PS5, I might lose something. But yeah, that's the Jango Fett one. It was on GameCube, I think. Some really good Star Wars games. Without even going the obvious route, like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff.
No, but you go things like Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast with Kyle Katarn and all that kind of stuff. Those were fantastic games. Dark Forces, the original one, where you met Kyle Katarn for the first time. You met Jan Ors, who, funny enough, is voiced by Vanessa Marshall, who voices Hera. in Rebels.
Really? Oh, that's cool. I downloaded Star Wars Pod Racer again on my Switch. That
was a cracking game.
That was a fun game.
I mean, I love playing it on console, but also going to an arcade, any arcade that had it, especially when you had the ones that have Anakin's pod built into it. Like, I spent so much time and money on those when I could. It was just so much fun. Although, to be fair, I was always a fan of Sebulba's pod because it just sounded badass.
It sounded like V8s, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I was like, yeah, this works for me. Whereas they used like F1 engines, the V10 specifically for Anakin's pod.
Yeah. No, it's got to be the big, like, chucky, like, muscle car.
Yeah. Which again is why I like the sound of the fire spray, because it's actually using an old biplane. So it's the old V-twins out of the biplane. So it's a really old airplane sound that they used for it. Again, though, fine enough, going back to this episode and awesome sounds, you had the return of the seismic charge, which is one of the greatest sounds in all of Star Wars. Like, it's just, I mean, it's also one of my favorite lines. Ironically, also not said by Boba Fett, was by Fennec, which is "fire in the hole." I said, "Don't touch my buttons." Like, that was cool.
Don't touch my buttons. I do wonder how they did the seismic charge sound, because it's almost a bit dubsteppy.
It is dubstep before dubstep. This is what 2001 when they were making it.
It's kind of like, wow, sort of thing. I wonder if it's a reverse thing.
It's the absence of sound. That's what gets you. It's the absence first.
Yeah, it's true. Do you know, I saw a great video on how they did the old Star Wars sound effects and stuff. Lucasfilm back in the day. But very, very creative. So I do wonder how they do it. Anyway, Book of Boba Fett.
So I segued into it with the seismic charge. So
that was good. That was very good. That was very good.
So, all right, let's break down these two episodes in the two different. Because for me, I actually really liked episode 5. Episode 4, though, is very much the same. Or 3 is very much the same. Of here are Vespers in Star Wars, which in Coruscant would actually work really well. I actually think if you change the setting in Coruscant, it kind of fits because it's all kind of high fashion and all the rest. You get like your different cultures and all the rest of it, like, you know, back in the 60s, you had the mods and rockers and that kind of stuff. Like, it would fit in Coruscant. On Tatooine, it looks even more out of place.
It's very cyberpunk, what they've done with Coruscant now. And I think that's why the Wiggles fit so well. Other the Wiggles, other the Teletubbies, nobody knows. Or the lame Power Rangers. Yeah, the Coruscant thing is my way of trying to justify them. Because I was like, well, you know, they'd fit in place in Coruscant, and kids and fashion travels, and the mods in Brighton back in the 60s. That fashion went up and down the country, you know, the whole mod scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Ralph Lauren and stuff that went around, fashion travels. I was like, okay, so maybe it's fashion that's made its way to Coruscant, made its way to Tatooine from Coruscant, and these kids picked up an issue of Space Vanity Fair. I don't know. And when that looks good, and it's the only way I can justify it, but it feels like such a tenuous link compared to how everyone else looks in the galaxy.
Yeah.
There is no fashion, but then we don't really see youths. But that's really... It was like just Robert Rodriguez's like Spy Kids roots coming through, if I'm honest. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And there was a certain removal of immersion for me, I think. Because everything else looks a certain way, and it looks beaten, and it looks worn, and that's the appeal of Star Wars as a universe. It's lived in.
Yes, why I like Red Dwarf as well. It's that same beaten up aesthetic of it's a lived-in universe.
You know, it's not like Star Trek where everything's clean cut and everything's neat and people's shirts are tucked in. And that kind of thing. It's the Falcon's a bucket of rust and everything looks trashed and worn and used.
Which is why I love Lando's reaction to the Falcon. What the hell have you done to my ship?
And that was like, I mean, the prequels were very clean. Yeah. And I think that was a stylistic choice to separate them from the original trilogy, maybe just show like the effects of war on the galaxy.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that. And the Empire, though, especially, the Empire is order, therefore it is neat, whereas the rest of the galaxy is chaos, which is why it is how it is. The Rebel Alliance is, well, it's ragtag. It's a bunch of kids basically rebelling, hence why it's all kind of, the ships are, you know, not up to scratch. Everything's kind of got that second-hand look to it because it's what they can scrape together.
Not wearing clothes that match their weird shot mobility scooters than Hobbit.
Yeah.
And I liked there was that cyberpunk element where they were like operating on themselves for like robotic enhancement.
See, I like that. That was kind of cool.
I thought that was really cool. I was like, this would probably happen in this galaxy.
Yeah.
But did they fit in? No, they didn't.
No.
And it was jarring and it was quite disengaging, I think. And I don't know why they were in it.
It also led to the lamest chase in all of Star Wars. I mean, it is just awful. Like, especially when you have that horrible bit where you have the painting walking out the road. I'm like, really? You're going to smash? Oh, you smashed the painting. Sure. Oh, there's a truck that's got a small ramp that's fallen over. Oh, you're going to... Oh, yeah, you got to go the ramp.
I think it was meant to show them being...
I know it was meant to show, but I could go... be in my bonnet back because I watched it again today as I was doing research for the episode and went, I forgot how awful... I blocked out from my memory how awful this was.
I think, it was meant to be like, oh, weird trouble, but it was like that 1950s...
It's literally it's the fucking fruit cart. It's literally that kind of level of like, and
like that it's meant to be show them being trouble and a plague on the area, and all of this, but this is the same place as Mos Eisley, man.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the fact that you introduced them originally because someone was going, look, these kids are stealing my water. On any other planet, it doesn't make sense. In a desert world, legitimately, it makes sense, especially with Luke as a moisture farm and the rest of it. Like, it actually, that part fit, and then it kind of didn't fit from there on out because, yeah.
They stole my water.
It's also, when he has, like, how much they owe? It's like 1,300 credits. Here's 500. I said 13. No, what you said is like, okay, but that's still not Boba being Boba. Boba would go, cool, you're getting nothing.
But what we've seen from the original trilogy, with what went down in Mos Eisley, with like Ponda Baba and stuff, and, with everything Cobb Vanth was dealing with, and I think we have seen on Tatooine, there's very real threats there.
Yeah.
That aren't a bunch of brightly coloured kids.
No.
And it's almost like the adage of the teenagers, isn't it, really?
Which is really frustrating because it also introduces one of my absolute comic book favourite characters, which is Black Chrysanthemum.
I was very surprised to see him turn up.
I was surprised, but I loved it. I mean, Santi is just awesome. If you haven't read the Dr. Aphra comics, I know you have, but if anyone watching hasn't read them, Black Chrysanthemum was introduced, and as soon as it came out, I sent pictures to Matt of Boba Fett with a Wookiee, which is Black Chrysanthemum, who is
he has his own Wookiee now.
He has his own
what he said, he has a Wookiee now. Very cool they included him. And he's grizzled. He looks worn in. He looks like a veteran.
He rips the arm off a Trandoshan slaver because he can. And compared to the past where Star Wars doesn't want to show it, you see him ripping arms of people. That's how it should be.
He makes Chewie look like a puppy.
Yeah, which is kind of how it's supposed to be because Black Chrysanthemum is. I mean, he was a gladiator that was trained and fought in gladiator pits for, didn't get paid for it. It was a slave. But he fought for his own survival. His knuckle dusters, as the Cantina says, are legendary. Lightning knuckle dusters that knock the absolute crap out of people. They are brutal, badass things. And Black Chrysanthemum, if you read those comics, he is terrifying, as he should be.
And he looked great as well.
Yeah.
He looked fantastic. So, again, it's almost quite jarring that you've got this really messed up looking Wookiee coming in to fight the Vesper Brigade. It's weird. I mean, real happy to be back to Southland. And if you'd replaced the kids with like a group of Rhodians or
Jawas would have been better. Give me Boba Fett with an army of Jawas. Just take my money. That would be awesome.
Jawa biker gang causing trouble in the streets of Tatooine. I'd be okay if Jawas rode through a painting. Like, I'd probably be like, oh, Jawas.
Exactly.
Two Rhodians. You could have, like... Because we've not really seen them since, like, have, like, a rogue group of Gungans.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Then it would make sense why they're stealing people's water.
Yeah.
We've not had Gungans.
No, we've not had many Gungans since then. There's been a couple floating about in canon, but they're not really popped up.
I know people hated Jar Jar Binks, and that's fine, but the other Gungans were great. Like the General and stuff like that, they were very fun. They weren't fun, they were interesting. They weren't fun at all. Boss Nass. Oh my god.
It's quite funny. I went to a one-man show of his a few years back. He did the entire show, and at the end of it, it's like, right, I've got time for 20 minutes. I've got time for a few questions. Who's got one? So hand went up, and I said, "What was it like working with George Lucas on Star Wars?" Because it's me. He spent the next 18 minutes answering my question. Went, shit, I've only got time for one. Well, that was me actually hit my space bar. I was telling him that. We went, yeah, I've only got time for. I have time for one more question, and it's going to have to be brief because I spent the entire time answering this one. I was not.
Let's be honest, Phil. You didn't go and see him. You sat at home and heard him from 5 miles away.
This is very true. I mean, we went to Bloodstock a couple of years back. He introduced Saxon. Like, yep, more than happy.
Did he really?
Yep.
That's mad.
Well, because it's from Yorkshire as well.
And he didn't need a microphone.
No, he just there's a mighty Saxon. Rah! Everyone just loved it. Like, yeah, this is how it should be. Because you just put Brian Bristol anywhere and it just improves anything. So yeah, Gungans in this would have been better. Like, it would have been...
and I'd like them to bring back Gungans at some point. Like, because they could. We're at a time where people are forgiving.
Yeah,
I say forgiving. There was no forgiveness needed because they didn't deserve the hate. But we're in an era where people are now appreciating Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. People are now appreciating Hayden Christensen's Anakin.
Yeah,
maybe it's time that people try to appreciate the Gungans.
I mean, talking about Gungans, you had Ahmed Best come back in Mando season 3.
Man, he came back with like the most important role in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy they gave him this pivotal, crucial role to the survival of Grogu.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's so cool that they've given him this really heroic moment.
I'm wondering through all the years, though, it was great to see.
I'm wondering if in Mando they're gonna actually go back to Naboo with the Grogu's flashbacks.
Yeah, they might well do.
I saw this great bit of like fan theory, I guess. It wasn't official, obviously, but it was just kind of like he gets saved by Ahmed Best. He was the guy who played Jar Jar. He takes him to the big silver ship, which we see flying out on Naboo. But at this point, Padme's on Mustafar with Obi-Wan, and it was like Padme's on Mustafar with Obi-Wan and Anakin. The people around this silver ship are Naboo Royal Guard. Everyone that the Jedi were kind of friends with, they don't know who to trust at this point in the story. The people you would know who to trust, Padme and Obi-Wan, they're off, they're out. The only place left for them to go that know they're safe is Naboo and the Gungans.
And Alderaan. Yeah.
And Alderaan, yeah. And because it's a big silver ship and there's Naboo Royal Guard around it, it was just like, they'll go to the Gungans. I was like, oh, God.
I would be totally happy with that.
Don't take him to Senator Jar Jar because he's probably on Coruscant at that point.
Yeah, he is. Let's
go to Boss Nass and the Gungans and take the small green frog creature to them.
Yep.
Because Yoda's on Kashyyyk. They can't take him to Yoda.
Nope. Well, no, Yoda's on Coruscant at that point. He's against the Emperor.
He is at that point, isn't he? During 66. Yeah, it's after Kashyyyk, my bad. But, so they can't take him to Yoda. He's already there. So I was just like, please take him to the Gungan. That would be awesome because I think it's about time we give Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni do Gungans.
Yep.
They'll do it really well.
They will.
I think they'll do it super well. Not like Phantom Menace. So what are we getting from this? I'd like Gungans to come back.
Yeah.
And I like the design of Gungans. I think the design on them is very cool.
They are. They got some really cool things. And also, it will be, again, you talk about this more forgiving world. You then have a race that's been kind of forgotten about, give a bit more light. Now, 20 odd years on where people are more accepting of it.
But their technology was cool, and their weapons were cool, and their aesthetic was very cool. And what was their capital city called?
Oh, it was just Gungan City.
I keep wanting to say Gunga Din, but that's a poem. But yeah, Gungan City looked cool with the big spheres and everything. And I just, people are kind of almost, God, it's going to sound horrible. People are
their shields were really cool as well.
Yeah, the shields and the big like beasts.
There's a Jedi in the High Republic who's got a shield which is very similar to a Gungan shield.
And it's Jar Jar Binks got so much hate, and I don't like Jar Jar. I did as a kid. I don't.
Yeah, I like him, but again, I was that right age, I guess.
I liked him when I was younger, but I liked Phantom Menace when I was younger. When I go back to watch it now, I'm just like, oh.
I mean, Attack of the Clones is just the bottom of the pile for me.
See, I like Attack of the Clones. I just don't like Phantom Menace. Either way, I just feel like you can't penalize a whole species because of one character. And we've seen Gamorrean Guard, or we've seen Gamorreans come back. We've seen Trandoshans come back. We've seen Jawas get fleshed out. We've seen Tuscans get fleshed out.
We've seen a lot of things we've not seen Gungans.
Yeah, we've had Cad Bane back, so the Celestians are getting a bit more love as well.
Cad Bane is a Duros.
He's a Duros. Which one's the Celestian?
Neon Num.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great with his weird like face. Yeah, a Duros even. Yeah, so we've got all these things coming back, but we're just not having fun.
I mean, the Dugs again. Think of Smolder. Like the Dugs are really cool. I want to see more of them. Again, we get that in Clone Wars. You do get some of the Gungans in Clone Wars as well. But fair enough. Although coming back to this certain segue, one of the cool things in Clone Wars we do get this is the bunny droid, which is just absolutely hilarious because you also have the General Grievous chef, which is just absolutely hilarious. And the funny thing is, there's a set of comics coming out next month, which is called Dark Droids, which is literally focusing on murder droids. I'm going to absolutely love it.
Oh, what is it? Like an Afro spin-off?
It's not just BT-1000. It's got like Zuckuss and Forlom and other bits and pieces as well. But I've seen one of the panels where there literally is a chef droid with 6 lightsabers. They've gone, right, we like Grievous, let's do this.
I really liked Grievous, and I would like Grievous to get more backstory.
Yeah, I mean, I want the actual how he turned from, I can't remember the name of his race, into a cyborg.
Yeah. Because I think the films did him really dirty. I think in the Clone Wars and the original Clone Wars, he's great.
He is. He gets fleshed out a lot more, although he becomes almost a Saturday morning villain too much. But he has to come back, so that's the problem.
I thought in Mando Season 3 that was Grievous back. You know the weird spider thing that grabs Mando?
Yeah.
I thought that was Grievous. Right. I was like,
that thing was just cool. And that whole setup was cool because it was basically a boss fight because it had, here's the big boss, then even the even bigger boss. It
was very not Star Wars.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was very Star Wars, which I really liked. It was very H.R. Geiger.
Oh, definitely.
It was strange. And it's why I thought it was Grievous. I was like, it's this whole mechanical organic hybrid.
Yeah.
Is this what Grievous has become?
And then we get the Mythosaur.
Yeah, man. See, they need a Gungan to help them explore those depths.
Oh, that would be cool.
They need a Gungan to swim down there. That's what needs to happen. Gungalorian. That'll be rad. Yeah, I'd like them to come back. That'll be fun. So anyway, Black Stanford, Danny Trejo, the Rancor.
So talking about the bunny droid, you get into Jabba's palace.
Yes.
Now the fire spray. Now here's the thing. I must admit, the one thing I'm not happy with is the renaming of Slave One because
great ship. Not crazy about the name though.
Yeah, it doesn't. It didn't need a rename. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand sensitivity to a point, but did you really need to change the name of the ship from Slave One to just Boba Fett ship as it is in Lego?
Boba Fett starship.
And what really annoys me, he calls it a fire spray gunship. It's like, no, it's a fire spray class pursuit craft. It's not even a gunship. That's me being really anal about it, though.
That's your X-wing nerd.
That is because I fly it. I flew it a lot. I mean, you and I played at Nationals when we both were playing. You took double fire spray. I took double fire spray to the world, for crying out loud. I know I like that ship inside and out, and it's just didn't need the rename.
It's nice to see it back, though.
Oh yeah.
Because it's such a cool looking ship.
It's iconic. And to be fair, that does feature one of the coolest shots in all of Boba Fett, which is where you have the Nikto riders just riding along, and then you just have this ominous shape appear behind, and then just starts gunning them down without mercy, because that's Boba Fett.
Here's what Boba does. It's very peekaboo, isn't it?
And we get to the last one as well. He goes, cool, I've gunned the rest down. Let me just fire a missile at this one, because why the hell not?
Because we never saw him fire missiles. They're making up for it.
Yeah. So Django got missiles. So he's like, okay, fine. I must have missiles too now.
Yeah, because he did it in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You missed. What was the name of the dead one? Oh, no, nice shot. I was aiming for the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it is good to see him kick some ass. It is a good kick-ass episode, I think.
As I said, so the one with the Vespers is awful. The next one, which is where he gets his Rancor and then goes on a murdering spree, like, this is Boba Fett.
Very interesting to see Danny Trejo in it.
Yeah.
But is Star Wars going to get to the point that Marvel got to where just every actor's been in it at some point?
We had this in our very first episode, and I hope it doesn't. I hope, for what I would like is when they do that, is to make sure the character has purpose and a sense. It's not, even if it's a brief cameo, like Danny Trejo's character was literally, there's a Rancor trainer. He kind of fits the bill. He kind of has that look to him. You could have done it with Mickey Rourke.
That's a lot of weight compared to the other one. It's like the one in Return of the Jedi.
Mally Killy, yeah. But Maddie Killy actually ends up works with Cobb Vanth, if you read the Aftermath book. So you do know what happens to him. It's also the same bit where you find out Jar Jar's fate, who ends up being a sad clown on the streets of Thieves, which is just awful.
I really feel like they did that because no one liked. Honestly, it's going to keep. This is like I know we're talking about Boba Fett. It's going to be like the Gungan Stan Society now.
Yeah.
Start the GSS. I just think they've done them so dirty because of the reaction to Jar Jar Binks. And we're in, like, people are accepting this acting from their childhood. You remember a few years ago, everyone hated Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yep.
And no one liked Andrew Garfield. Oh, no. Did people like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man?
I liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but a lot of people did hate him.
I liked his Spider-Man movies. I thought they were very good Spider-Man movies.
Well, I felt he was a really good Peter Parker. I thought Tobey Maguire was a better Spider-Man, but Tom Holland is the best of both worlds.
Tobey Maguire is just too special to me to even pick anyone over him. But yeah, I think, like, I can't remember if you were here. I liked the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films. I thought they were good, and I'm annoyed he never got his third one.
Yeah,
but
because it was Sinister Six, we would have finally had the Sinister Six.
It would have been amazing. I'm saying now, but Michael Keaton's Vulture was so good. I wouldn't have wanted a different one.
No,
because his Vulture was amazing. But anyway, so we're at that point. So we're now feeling that we're at the point without my best being in the Mandalorian that we can forgive. More people can forgive the Jar Jar Binks thing.
Yeah,
and he was militant Gungans.
Yeah. In fact, there's a Gungan in the Nihil in the High Republic. The Nihil are just marauding monsters. They go around using gas, which poisons people but also causes fear, like think Scarecrow. Yeah. And then they just smash, grab, pillage, and destroy everything that is near and dear to the Republic. And they use these things called path engines, which are fantastic. So the path engine is a way of going through hyperspace without using the hyperspace lanes. It goes through basically hyperspace adjacent, so it goes in and out of lanes that are completely separate. So and they can literally jump in and out. Unlike a regular hyperspace where you have to have the coordinates, you have to have the coordinates for a path engine, but you can do it on the flight and just jump in and out of hyperspace. And it is so well done. In fact, actually, in the main Star Wars comic, Luke finds a path engine and takes a bunch of refugees to nowhere, which is takes them literally into the outer reaches of wild space to where the Nihil was based. So it takes them out there because the Empire can't find it because no one knows that it exists. It's been long forgotten by this point in terms of where we are in the Galactic Civil War versus the High Republic. But there was a Gungan Nihil who, again, was like missing an eye, who was half cyborg and just absolutely mental. And I want more of that.
I think you could do very cool things with them. You know, you look at the different kind of historical influences on the different races, and they're absolute prime to give them like a whole samurai type vibe.
Yeah.
Like Gungan Ronin and things. I'd love them to expand it. Actually, that would be really cool. But yeah, anyway, so Danny Trejo and a Rancor. It's very cool that Boba got a Rancor.
It was. But funny, if we were talking about people who cameos and all the rest of it, it fit Danny Trejo because, yeah, he has the right aesthetic, but also it wasn't too big a part. It wasn't jarring. It was just, oh, cool actor in it. Didn't take me out of it. He actually fit the role and fit it. And he played it really well because you have, you know, the Rancor is kind of mythical in Star Wars. You get it in Return of the Jedi. You get this monster, and they gave it more of a character. Where they go, no, these things actually are. They're an animal, but they have nature to them, and you know, they imprint on their first human, which then you know imprints on it and goes, cool, teach me to ride him. I've ridden Beast 10 times its size, which again goes back to the old original when he was introduced, where he's riding a giant ass dinosaur.
And like it's such a payoff as well because the moment when he does turn up riding it,
I can't wait for us to talk about that. It's gonna be good.
Amazing. Like when he turns up on it, I was like, bro, okay.
You hear the Rancor roar, and then you just know exactly what you're about to see, and you're not disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. It was almost like quite Godzilla-esque. Yeah, so I was down with that. I was cool with that. I liked the Rancor. I liked Chrysanthemum. I liked, like, it's weird. I liked his monstrous menagerie, but I think I kind of just like the idea of not Boba getting more equipment, but like having Black Chrysanthemum there. And like Fennec Shand all the way through has been great.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Mina Wen is an awesome actress anyway. She's done a lot throughout the years. But
we've not really discussed her. She's really enjoyable in that series. She's really good because she's quiet as well.
Yeah.
And she seems quite threatening.
She's
not to say that if I met her in real life I'd be intimidated, but
no.
She's got quite a threatening presence about her.
Yeah, she's almost more Boba than Boba. By being that quiet, doesn't say a lot, does badass things.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And, you know, it's cool that there's like the sharpshooter. And I really feel like the way that they depicted Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett, as I don't feel like he could do it without Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like he could do it without help.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I mean, it does lead to when it gets good with Mando, ironically, such a contradiction. I'd like if Boba could do all this by himself. However, when Mando turns up, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But does he really need this much help?
No.
And to be being dragged back to a bantha tag every 10 steps.
Yeah. I mean, that part's now done. At least now it goes, the healing's complete. All the inside scars, they'll take longer. But it's like, cool, we've now gone past... Because this is the problem I have, though. We talked about this with Andor, and I love Andor from start to finish. It's fantastic. There's not many problems with it. I do agree the order could change. And here's the problem I have with Book of Boba Fett. I've said it when we started. It's the right things in the wrong order. If you just have the flashbacks as just... Not even flashbacks, it's just here's the story, here's what happened after Return of the Jedi, and then into where we are with Mando, that would have been perfect. It didn't need to have this whole jumping backwards and forwards. And I know I said it last week, but I genuinely hate the whole, he's in a back to tank because you had that horrible green bloody haze around him. It was like, it's just, no, get out of here. I don't need that.
Yeah, it was a very strange stylistic choice because I think, again, it's that conversation about assumed knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they need to realize that audience are probably smarter than they're giving them credit for.
Yeah.
And, it's clearly he's in a back-to tank. And, like...
You can tell this isn't Favreau and Filoni from the start. In terms of its...
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's, although it fits in the universe, it sits there quite nicely in terms of the aesthetic. It fits there in terms of the story. but there's bits of it that you can just tell this isn't the right storytelling. It's things are all, Favreau would definitely not have done that in terms of that aesthetic choice of here's the assumed knowledge. Favreau, especially like if you go back and look at, for example, talk about Spider-Man earlier, if you look at Homecoming, the whole bit there is, or no, even that Civil War, which goes, okay, well, how long have you been doing this for? 6 months. Cool, done. You don't need to know about Uncle Ben because it's assumed that everyone knows about Uncle Ben.
If I have to see Uncle Ben die again, I'm going to kill him myself.
Which I love then in Across the Spider-Verse, where it's just like, cool, here's the canon event.
Did I send you that tweet by Dan Slott where Peter Parked Car's canon event was the death of his uncle Bentley?
Yes, you talk about it.
Oh, smart, Ryan. That was smart. I liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a way to do flashbacks and there's a way to not do flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy the first season of The Witcher.
Yeah.
Because of the varying timelines.
Mm.
When it all came together, I had to take a couple of minutes just be like, hang on. This hasn't happened in a linear fashion.
No. Which is why I don't like the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars. They are done in a non-linear fashion. Season 3, they went, this isn't working. Here's linear from now on.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there's a way to do it and there's a way to not do it. And you can do it in a way of making it obvious it's a flashback, but not have to cheapen it with weird, ominous green glows.
Yeah.
Which is what they did. And I feel like you could just by use of like a transition.
Yeah.
Like a fade.
It's Star Wars. You get to use the old school, here's a wipe transition. Here's a top-down wipe, because that's the aesthetic George Lucas set back in the 70s.
Yeah.
It works because it fits in Star Wars. I would not be mad at it. In fact, I would applaud it because that's how it should be done.
So it's not a Star Wipe.
Yeah, not a Star Wipe. No, we're not talking, here's Windows Microsoft Video Editor or something like.
And now we're going to Star Wipe to Boba Fett and Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, here's the checkerboard wipe because that is old school.
I did the Book of Boba Fett logo in word art.
Yep, and then because all the flashbacks were done with the spiral wipe. That's how they would have done it.
It was, logo's done in word art with like a purple to faux chrome fade.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Thumbnail for the next video.
I love that. I thought I was like the shit in school.
Oh, too right. And then
when I was like, watch me make this go from purple to black.
And hey, watch this spin. I've learned how to do this now. Then,
that's all they need for the flashbacks of Book of Boba Fett is the Adam West Batman, like.
Yep.
But like, dented helmet.
Yeah. No. Garth and Wayne, but Max Rebo.
And droopy but cool.
Yeah, exactly. Jizzwallering. Give us more jizzwallering.
Can't believe it's called that. Like, genuinely, I'm so in awe that it's called that.
I love it.
I get they were like, we wanted to make it jazz, but don't want to make it jazz.
So it's jizz.
But was that a slang word back then?
Back in the 70s, no.
So if it wasn't, okay. But then is Star Wars responsible for a lot
George Lucas just being a dog?
Is Star Wars responsible for loads of jizz?
It was the 70s.
Maybe.
There's a load of banthas were around.
Oh, is that...
Somebody get this walking carpet out of my way while playing jizz. Like, it's...
We'll play some jizz. I can't do it. I can't. I love doing a stream with you without jizz intro. In Star Wars, it's jizz hands.
Oh dear Lord, it is.
It's jizz hands.
Yep.
And it's not jazz time, it's jizz time.
Oh God.
Oh no, does that mean there's a genre of music called ragtime jizz?
Yes.
Afro jizz.
Jizz fusion.
Acid jizz. Oh. I'll start with myself then.
Yep. Too much jizz.
Oh, figuring down in the modal nodes.
Yep.
Jizzing up Mos Eisley.
Yep. Now I know why Max Rebo wants to get to the gig.
30 minutes late, that's jizz time. This is the second time I've had this conversation today, except at work it was the other way round. I'd be like, I jazzed everywhere. This is the second time I've had this come from the other side of it. Oh my gosh.
Jizzception.
Jizzception. Oh, take a warm bath in my jazz. Oh God. I can't believe it's called that, man.
Yeah.
Like, they could have gone with, like, not that. They could have just been like, oh, the genre of music of Star Wars is called riff.
Mm.
Be like, Max Rebo is part of a riff band.
Yeah.
That would have been fine.
Yeah.
You and I know what a riff is, but if people aren't really into music to any real depth, they're not going to know what a riff is, right?
No.
Or they could have had Raph.
Oh, what's worse though is you could have paid an absolute mean jizz lick.
Jizz lick. I think you need to play with your jizz in a higher register. Yeah, dude, it could have been called Raph or Riff. Or, like, if the English language in it is called, like, basic.
It is, yep.
Then you could, obviously, you wouldn't have just called it music. That's not a genre. But,
no.
You know, what's wrong with, like, riff? What's wrong with just being like, oh, yeah, music in Star Wars is called modal?
It wasn't a thing back then, so they couldn't have foreseen it. Because the Palpatine, as powerful as he was, couldn't have foreseen jizz.
Unlimited power. Yeah. Oh my God. It could have just been called modal, like music in the Star Wars universe. It's called modal. Like,
there's a lot of things it could have been called, but this is the thing though. Trying to bring it back on topic, at least for a second, though. At least this did bring back Max Rebo. I don't care how he escaped from the sand barge. Talk about Steam knowledge. The fact he escaped from the sand barge and still made it to the gig.
He had a parachute in his keyboard.
Yeah.
He was prepared, man. He's like MC Hammer. He had those parachute pants on. Why do you think MC Hammer wore parachute pants? He got told by Max Rebo that in case the ship you're playing on crashes, float down. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Max Rebo's great in everything. And I'm glad that I really, really was happy they brought him back.
Yeah.
I was really happy.
It was just like, hit it, Max. Every collective fanboy just went, oh, it is Max. It is Max Rebo. Yeah, we are happy.
Why did he escape the sand?
I don't know, but I need to know. To be fair, there's a Max Rebo comic coming out this year. Hopefully they tell us in that.
Maybe, like, to be fair, when everything was kicking off, there was probably escape raft on Jabba's barge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When everything was going nuts, there was probably an escape barge. Not everyone. Max Rebo wasn't there trying to fight Luke.
No.
He was trying to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure of it. He wasn't going to fight Leia because he was a touring band, dude. He didn't want to get the punch up.
No.
That's probably escape craft or something.
Yeah.
But hit it, Max.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
That's the thing, though. That episode had two of the greatest lines in Star Wars of hit it, Max, but also fire in the hole. I mean, that's that time if there ever was one. Fire in the hole, like, comes on. There you go.
Did that come on with fire in the hole or hit it, Max? Well then. I forgot I said to do that. Not to like hit it, Max, or anything. Yep. There's a touch to my Alexa, innit? Like the light. Yeah. So, I mean, sorry, fair, that really startled me for a second.
That's what you should set it to. Alexa, hit it, Max.
Hit it, Max.
Go to the settings menu in your Alexa app and select device settings. Then go to device and navigate to language.
So I get really annoyed with The Simpsons at the moment because there's a lot of stuff in the latest seasons where they'll refer to that by name and it starts talking.
Oh dear. The fact that I can just say it and then bring it on the yep, love it.
No. Hey. I have got it set up to do the Iron Man 2 Daddy's Home. It switches the lights on and plays Should I Stay or Should I Go? So that's very good. And I got to say Welcome Home, Sir, as well.
So Daddy's Home plays some jizz.
It does play some jizz. And it says Welcome Home, Sir. Oh God, why is it called jizz? I keep forgetting this. I keep forgetting it until you bring it up again. And every time I'm like, it's just the worst thing to call that.
Oh.
I just... No. Not accepting that. That's nuts. But they're not going to mention that in The Mandalorian, are they?
Nope. Yep.
Right, well, on that bombshell, Phil.
Yep. On that. On that bombshell, it was time to end the show. We'll be back obviously next week. We'll talk about the Mandalorian. Well, the return of the Mandalorian in Boba Fett.
Mandalorian season 2.5.
Exactly, the holiday special it should have been.
It should have been. Do you know what? You're right. Actually, that's a very good point. I'd never thought of it like that. They could have just done. You're right. They could have just done a holiday special.
Yeah, that's my big thing I was going to talk about next week. Is the fact it could have been just its own separate special in between. Like
great bit of food of thought for next week. Nice one. That's prompted a lot of thinking. What a great point. I'd never thought about that before.
Indeed.
Okay, we'll talk about that next week because that's very smart.
Next week. So we shall see you all then. Have a very pleasant evening. Go and listen to some cheers.
Cheers hands! Oh no, where did you go? Phil.